The roar of the engines, the leather jackets, and the sense of brotherhood, the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club is known for its notorious reputation. But behind the scenes, many members have been accused of heinous crimes, including drug dealing, trafficking in stolen goods, gun running, extortion, and prostitution operations. How do the Hells Angels react to their fate as the gavel falls and sentences are handed down? We will look at some of the most high-profile cases and sentences involving Hells Angels members and explore their reactions to their sentences. This is the Hells Angels' brush with justice. Caius Veiovis, known for his unusual appearance and purported ties to Satanism, received 3 consecutive life terms for a chilling crime spree in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. At 34, Veiovis, who often identified as a self-proclaimed vampire and Satanist, was convicted of kidnapping, killing, and dismembering 3 men. His unique look, including forehead implants that looked like horns, green tattoos on his fingertips showing the bone structure beneath, and the number 666 marked above his eyebrows, heightened the intrigue around his case. These eerie features drew focus to Veiovis, implicated in the crimes against David Glasser, Edward Frampton, and Robert Chadwell. The victims' dismembered remains were found buried near Pittsfield 10 days post their 2011 disappearance. The prosecution contended that Veiovis, together with Adam Lee Hall and David Chalou, masterminded the sinister deeds. Glasser, due to testify against Hall, a Hells Angels member, was murdered to silence him. And these were the opening words of his lawyer.
The Commonwealth has never been able to find the scene of these killers, and therefore I expect there will be no evidence or testimony connecting Mr. Veiovis to the location or locations where these crimes occurred.
The other 2 victims were reportedly killed to ensure no witnesses to Glasser's murder remained. Despite mounting evidence against him, Veiovis persistently claimed his innocence throughout the trial. The trial, relocated to Hampton County Superior Court in Springfield, Massachusetts, sought a neutral jury given the case's widespread attention. As jurors departed the courthouse following their deliberations, a defiant Veiovis exclaimed, "I'll see you all in hell."
Yeah, I'll see you all in hell, too. Remember that. Every one of you, I'll see you in hell.
After deliberating for 37 hours over 6 days, the jury rendered their verdict. Veiovis received a life sentence without the possibility of parole for first-degree murder, along with convictions for kidnapping and witness intimidation. Before his role in the gruesome crime, Caius Veiovis was already under the media spotlight. In 1999, he and his then-girlfriend, Deanne Jones, drew public attention after being accused of assaulting a 16-year-old girl. The couple allegedly enticed the girl into their hotel room, where Jones used a razor blade to harm her back. Subsequently, they engaged in alarming acts using the victim's blood. During this period, Veiovis identified as both a Satan worshiper and a vampire, revealing his affinity for blood. In 2006, he faced accusations of kidnapping and drug possession tied to an episode with 2 strippers. While the kidnapping charges were later dismissed, a probation breach landed him in a Maine prison. Once known as Roy Gutfinski Jr., he legally adopted the name Caius Veiovis in 2008. The rationale behind this decision remains a mystery. His chosen name blends references: Caius from the Twilight series, a vampire, and Veiovis, a Roman deity linked with hellish escapes. As Veiovis is sentenced to prison, the victim's family can finally sense that the long-awaited sense of closure is drawing near.
Really am glad it's all over. Like, justice was served, even though we'll never get him back.
To help to bring some type of closure. I don't know how much we're gonna get, but it's a start for something.
But we are not sure that justice is indeed served as Veiovis plans to appeal the case. But the terror continues. The next scene was set for Adam Lee Hall's reckoning in the Hampton Superior Court in Massachusetts, a man whose name would forever be associated with a horrific catastrophe. Hall was convicted of the savage murder of 3 men and sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms, demonstrating the gravity of his actions. Hall, along with his co-conspirators David Chalou and Caius Veiovis, faced 3 counts of first-degree murder and kidnapping. Their heinous actions were revealed in 2014 when the 3 were found guilty of planning a merciless spree that took the lives of David Glasser, Edward Frampton, and Robert Chadwell. The terrifying events took place in Pittsfield, where the victims met their untimely deaths. Their remains were brutally dissected after being shot, then placed in plastic bags and transferred in Hall's truck. Their bones were buried in an unmarked grave in a secluded part of Becket by their killers. The horrible crime, which occurred on the night of August 27, 2011, went unnoticed until authorities discovered the mangled bodies 13 days later. As the trial began, witnesses were put to the stand, revealing a sequence of macabre revelations that presented a terrible portrayal of Hall and his co-conspirators. An ex-girlfriend revealed Hall's possession of weapons on the night of the murders, concealed beneath a bag of dog food, as one of the horrifying statements. The frightening act was carried out in order to prevent the victims from testifying in an unrelated case, throwing an even darker shadow on the crime. Rose Dawson, another witness, offered insight into Hall's behavior following the murders, revealing how he attempted to hide the signs of his crime by washing his automobile. Despite the revelations, the trial was fraught with legal fighting. The defense attempted to undercut Dawson's credibility by exposing her suspected drug use in the past. But even with this, Judge Jeffrey Kinder did not back down, as he had this to say.
The evidence in this case revealed a level of depravity and disregard for human dignity beyond my experience.
This case gained significant media focus primarily due to the infamous reputation of the Hells Angels. This attention was so intense that the trial had to be moved from Berkshire County to Springfield. During the trial, Hall's legal team contended that he was innocent and that he was singled out solely because of his association with the Hells Angels. However, the jury didn't accept this argument, as shown by their verdict.
Indictment 2011-139, count reflecting, charging the defendant with murder. You, upon your oath, do say that the defendant is guilty of murder in the first degree. So say you, Madam Forelady? Yes. So say you, all ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Yes. By reason of, 1, deliberate premeditation. So say you, Madam Forelady? Yes. So say you, all ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Yes.
He was not found guilty of kidnapping, but that did not mean he would go free. Rather, he was sentenced to 3 life sentences charged with first-degree murder, which brought some peace to some of the victims' families, particularly Robert Chadwell's sister.
Definitely, there's something that's never going to be filled. I mean, because there are questions that I have that only he can answer, you know what I mean? And he's not going to do that, just like he never apologized because he's not sorry for what he did.
Let's take a trip to Rhode Island, where we delve into the intriguing case of Joseph Lincia, the head honcho of the Hells Angel gang in the area. Back in 2019, things took a wild turn when Lincia found himself facing a laundry list of charges. These included some serious allegations like attempted murder, brandishing a dangerous weapon, firing a gun during a violent crime, and even carrying a concealed pistol without the proper paperwork. What sparked this legal frenzy? Well, it all goes back to a shooting incident in 2019 and a brawl in 2020, both connected to a strip club in Providence. The saga kicked off when Lincia took aim at an unknown target from a bustling sidewalk. Armed with a .25 caliber semi-automatic handgun, he fired a single shot at a truck passing by the clubhouse on Wendell Street. The startled truck driver, Richard Starnino, managed to speed away, but not before the bullet left its mark on the truck's passenger door. Lincia, seemingly unaffected, went back into the clubhouse. Cue the Rhode Island State Police tactical team, who rolled in to investigate the shooting. Their search warrant led them to the Messer Street clubhouse, where they struck gold. 3 handguns, assorted ammunition, and that pesky .25 caliber bullet were among the finds. By this time, Lincia's escapades seemed to be catching up with him. Temporarily released on bail, Lincia's legal deeds were far from over. The year 2020 brought yet another rowdy incident at a clubhouse, which promptly shattered the terms of his 2019 bail. It's clear that Lincia's roller coaster with the law was far from a straightforward ride.
Off-duty member of the nightclub security in the face.
The defendant's lawyer argued that the person the defendant attacked was a known criminal who had a criminal record.
It's presumed innocent and has an unblemished criminal record.
The lawyer also stated that the victim had threatened members of the Hells Angels motorcycle group,
Hells Angel members, all of them, were in high alert at this point, knowing his history to carry firearms.
which had put the members on high alert due to the victim's past involvement with firearms. Despite these arguments, the court was not convinced and decided to hold the defendant without bail. The court believed that releasing the defendant on bail would not ensure that he would follow any conditions set for his release.
The court's not satisfied that if he were to be released on bail, that he is going to abide by any terms and conditions that were placed on him.
In 2022, Joseph Lancia, the defendant, asked Judge Kirsten E. Rogers, who was overseeing his case, to step down because her husband was a lieutenant in the Rhode Island Police. However, the judge did not recuse herself from the case, as there wasn't enough evidence to suggest bias. Before the judge made her final ruling, Lancia pleaded no contest to the charges against him. He believed that he might receive a harsher sentence if the case went to trial. As a result, he accepted a plea deal that led to a 5-year prison sentence to be served at the Adult Correctional Institutions, ACI.
A 5-year full sentence, all of which is to be served at the ACI.
Lancia also received 15 years in total, with 5 years in prison and 10 years on probation for different charges related to the case. A no-contact order was imposed between Lancia and the victim, Richard Starnino, for 8 years. Lancia was also required to pay $3,650 in restitution. During the sentencing, Lancia chose not to address the court and maintained a stoic expression, showing little emotion. The judge gave him an opportunity to speak but received no response from Lancia. Our focus shifts to David Shalhoub, a key figure in the trio that also includes Caius Viovis and Adam Lee Hall. All three played roles in a notorious murder case. Shalhoub, at 47 from North Adams, faced accusations related to the abduction and murder of 3 men. He emerged as the second defendant in the unsettling 2011 triple homicide that captivated many due to its macabre details. The remains of 3 Pittsfield residents, David Glasser, Robert Chadwell, and Edward Frampton, were found in Beckett in August 2011. Investigations showed the victims had been kidnapped, shot, and horrifically mutilated. Prosecutors contended that Shalhoub, among the trio, played a part in these gruesome killings. Shalhoub, however, staunchly refuted these murder allegations and other associated charges. A pivotal witness, David Casey, offered a chilling account, detailing how Shalhoub with Hall brutally dismembered the victims, severing their limbs and heads. One among the accused even boasted of sleeping peacefully after such heinous deeds. Shalhoub's defense lawyer countered the prosecution's case by arguing that the witnesses who testified against Shalhoub were jailhouse informants, making their reliability questionable. According to prosecutors, Hall, the primary suspect, desired Glasser's death to prevent him from testifying against Hall in a separate case. The other victims, prosecutors contended, were killed to eliminate potential witnesses. During the trial, Berkshire District Attorney David Kaplis recommended that the accused receive 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. This recommendation was endorsed by Hampton's Superior Court Judge C. Jeffrey Kinder. Kinder noted that each victim's life deserved acknowledgement and stressed that the term heinous was an understatement for the defendant's actions. He highlighted the depraved nature of the victims' deaths and Shalhoub's targeting of the disabled, as well as his manipulation of young women. Kinder emphasized his willingness to impose the most severe sentence available within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Kaplis echoed these sentiments, urging the court not to show mercy to the accused, as Shalhoub had shown none to the victims. After extensive deliberations, the jury finally delivered their verdict. As the judge read the verdict, Shalhoub's indifference was evident. He received 3 life sentences for his crimes. However, Shalhoub was undeterred and took his case to the Supreme Court in an attempt to have his sentence overturned. He appealed his conviction, alleging multiple errors from the initial trial that had influenced the outcome. Regrettably for Shalhoub, the Supreme Court rejected his appeal, affirming that the first-degree murder verdicts were in alignment with justice. During the appeal, Shalhoub's legal team contended that several mistakes had been made during the original trial that had impacted the outcome. These included issues related to the admission of weapon-related evidence and forensic testimony. Shalu's lawyer argued that improper jury instructions, the introduction of prejudicial character evidence, and the dismissal of certain arguments from the prosecution had all tainted the trial's fairness.
With regard to the photos of the weapons, this court found error in both the Viovis and Hall decisions with the court's admission of the evidence of the studded baseball bat. That evidence was admitted here, but unlike in the cases of Viovis and Hall, the forensic testimony here was not the same.
Moreover, Shalu's appeal raised concerns about inappropriate statements made by the prosecution during opening and closing arguments. The court thoroughly reviewed the 2013 trial proceedings and ultimately concluded that there were no valid grounds to overturn the convictions or reduce the imposed sentences. Our next look will be the arrest of Richard DeVries, the alleged Las Vegas Hells Angels president, which was made on criminal counts, including racketeering, in October 2020. This shocking discovery was discovered during a court proceeding, which resulted in DeVries' arrest and subsequent legal actions. The case was based on a complicated web of alleged gang-related violence and criminal activity in the previous months. A violent event that occurred in May of the same year led to the indictment of DeVries and 7 other people on racketeering charges. 6 members of the Vagos motorcycle organization were hurt in this event, which entailed a shooting on Henderson Highway.
You know that a month back, about a month ago in San Bernardino, a Vagos did kill a Hells Angels.
Serious claims against them included conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, battery, and firing a gun into an occupied building. The additions related to supporting or assisting a criminal gang make these allegations considerably more serious. The prosecution claimed that DeVries and other Hells Angels were accountable for the shooting event. The attack's suspected motivation was thought to be retaliation for a prior shooting in San Bernardino that had killed a Hells Angels motorcycle rider. Nevertheless, during a grand jury session, a Vagos group member disputed this claim. It became clear throughout the court proceedings that the event had taken place during a ride that included motorcycles from the Hells Angels and the Vagos. Video footage depicting Hells Angels members in the vicinity of the shooting was among the evidence shown to the jury. Important video evidence was released by an unnamed witness showing 3 guys who may have been Hells Angels members approaching the Vagos gang just before the shooting started. However, it was unclear how the shooting actually happened and whose groups were involved. The severity of the exchange is shown by the number of shell casings that have been left dispersed along the highway for more than a mile after the shooting. Although some people had gunshot wounds, it was not known if the Vagos group had also fired gunfire. As a result, 2 people developed critical conditions and needed to be hospitalized. The court hearings provided information about the alleged years-long operations of the Las Vegas Hells Angels chapter as a criminal organization. Richard DeVries, according to the prosecution, was instrumental in overseeing, funding, and managing the group.
I believe that there is clear and convincing evidence that all of these defendants are a danger to the community.
Additionally, he was charged with encouraging violence against members of competing motorcycle gangs, such as the Vagos, in order to elevate his position within the Hells Angels hierarchy. The defense provided a viewpoint that refuted the prosecution's assertions throughout the court proceedings. According to the defense, Nevada law had not classified the Hells Angels motorcycle organization as a criminal group.
Angels Motorcycle Club has not been found by a jury in the state of Nevada to be a criminal gang.
Judge Tierra Jones rejected a request to recall DeVries' arrest warrant, notwithstanding this argument. DeVries was subsequently arrested, and his bail was set at $250,000. The atmosphere remained tense as the court case went on. Like his fellow Hells Angels, DeVries showed little emotion throughout the process. The ambiguity surrounding his release on bail increased the gravity of the situation. There was no doubt that the verdicts in these cases could have an effect on how the Hells Angels and motorcycle clubs are viewed in the city. In the upcoming case, we turn our attention to the trial of Jay Witt, who is facing charges of second-degree murder and the use of a firearm in the commission of a felony. Witt's legal battle revolves around his alleged involvement in the death of William Furlong, whose lifeless body was discovered at the Hells Angels Motorcycle Clubhouse in July 2013. This trial promises to unravel the events leading up to this tragic incident and determine Witt's culpability. Crucial evidence, including surveillance footage from the Hells Angels Motorcycle Clubhouse, has emerged as a key player in shedding light on the unfolding events. The footage captures Witt entering the clubhouse accompanied by his girlfriend. Later, he is seen leaving the premises with a plastic bag in hand. Notably, Witt is observed meticulously wiping down door handles and doors before departing. Meanwhile, Witt's girlfriend, Tammy Kozak, is facing her own set of charges, including being an accessory and tampering with evidence. Presently, Kozak is in custody as the legal proceedings continue. During the investigation, Kozak revealed chilling details from the night in question. She recounted how Witt had awakened her, claiming to have engaged in a confrontation with someone. Shockingly, he then divulged to her that a lifeless body awaited discovery downstairs. Witt's eventual apprehension, occurring almost 2 weeks after the issuance of an arrest warrant, further adds to the intrigue surrounding the case. Leading the prosecution is Matt Kuss, who has presented a compelling case against Witt. The prosecution asserts that a confrontation had taken place between Witt and Furlong prior to the fatal incident. Kuss has vehemently pushed for the maximum sentence for manslaughter. He has underscored the importance of not pigeonholing the case as merely involving the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, emphasizing Furlong's identity as a devoted family man and father. Testifying during the trial, Sergeant Roche Jenkins of the Omaha Police Department described the grim discovery of Furlong's body. Furlong was found lifeless, wedged between a couch and a bar within the clubhouse. A witness present on the night of the incident has come forward, alleging that Witt murdered Furlong following an altercation and coercing her into aiding in the removal of evidence. As the trial transitioned to its sentencing phase, Kuss disclosed a chilling revelation. Furlong had suffered 3 gunshot wounds. Investigators suspected that Witt had attempted to stage the crime scene to resemble a break-in orchestrated by a rival motorcycle club, casting a shadow of doubt on the true sequence of events. However, when given the opportunity to speak, Witt chose silence. Instead, his legal representative, Daniel Stockman, addressed the court. Stockman disclosed that Witt possessed the potential to provide a compelling argument for self-defense. Stockman contended that the looming threat of habitual criminal sentencing compelled Witt to accept a plea bargain. He argued that the evidence presented could, at most, substantiate a charge of manslaughter and potentially even support a case for self-defense. During this phase of the trial, Dawn Furlong, the bereaved wife, stepped onto the stand, appealing to Judge Lee Ann Rettelsdorf. She implored the judge to view her husband's character beyond his affiliation with the motorcycle club. She passionately depicted her husband as a loving family man who had been a pillar of support and stability. Her emotional appeal aimed to counteract any preconceived notions based on stereotypes or appearances. In the culmination of this legal saga, Jay Witt received a sentence totaling 20 years for manslaughter, an additional 10 to 20 years for using a firearm during a felony, and a range of 3 to 10 years for possessing a firearm as a felon. This sentencing was the result of a plea agreement Witt reached with the Douglas County Attorney's Office, which played a pivotal role in averting the possibility of harsher sentencing due to a habitual criminal charge. With this sentence, the chapter closes on a tragic narrative encompassing life, death, and the intricate facets of justice. So what do you think about their crimes? Do their reactions make you feel anything? Let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more content. See you in the next one.